fanciful desires. This Quran is nothing but pure revelation revealed to him by God. The Lord of mighty powers has taught him this discourse. The Lord whose powers become manifest and manifolds in frequent ways, with the result that he, the messenger of God, attains perfection in his fullest vigor, both intellectually and physically. And he attained to a zenith of heights in his spiritual ascension. Then he drew near to him, and afterwards he descended to humankind for their guidance, so that he became, as it were, one cord to two bows, or closer still. Then he revealed that excellent and mighty Quranic revelation which he had sent to his servant Muhammad, whose mind made no mistake in the interpretation of that which he saw during the ascension. Will you doubt and dispute with him concerning that sight which he saw with his own eyes? It is being no figment of imagination. And of course he saw him in another manifestation to him yet another time. It was near the Sidra, which stands at the furthest end of knowledge, near where also is the garden which is the real eternal abode. This was when the sublime thing, the divine manifestation which was to cover the Sidra, to cover it. When he saw the divine manifestation, his eyes deviated not from the certainty of the truth, nor did it wander away from the invincible faith on which he stood. It was the moment when he saw greatly the important signs of his Lord. Have you had a look at Layt and Uzzah, the gods and the idolaters? And another, the third, the goddess of no account, Mannat? What an ignoble idea you have! Are you to have sons and he to have the daughters? That indeed is an unjust division and unbecoming from your own point of view, which looks upon the birth of daughters with condemnation. The fact is that there are mere names bearing no significance which you have coined, and your forefathers for which Allah has revealed no authority for their being worshipped as gods and goddesses. These idol worshippers follow nothing more but their mere conjectures and their fancies of their own minds. They do this even through the true guidance has already come to them in the forth of their Lord. Can a person always have whatever he desires? Rather, all the blessings of the hereafter as well as those of the present life belong to Allah. Behold, so many angels is there in the heavens, but in their intercessions can be no avail except after Allah has given them the permission regarding him whom he wills and with whom he is pleased. Verily, it is only those who do not believe in the hereafter and who give feminine names to the angels because they ascribe them to Allah as his daughters, but they have no knowledge of the matter. They are following nothing but conjectures, yet by no means can a conjecture be a substitute for the established truth. So turn aside from him who turns away from our remembrance and seek nothing but the present life. That is the highest attainment of their knowledge. Verily, your Lord knows very well those who go astray from his path, and he knows very well those who follow the right guidance. And all that lies in the heavens and all that lies in the earth belongs to Allah alone. The result of this is that he recompenses the evildoers and according to their evil of their deeds, and rewards those who do good deeds in their fairest rewards. Those who avoid grave sin and open shameful deeds, but who are sometimes guilty only of minor offenses, will find your Lord is the Lord of immense protection and resorts to his mercy in such cases. He knows you full well, since he has created you from the earth and when you were embryos in the wombs of your mother. So make no pretensions to the purity of your souls. It is he who knows best, who is truly and fully guards against evil. Have you taken notice of the one who turns away from his guidance and gives but little in the cause of Allah and does it grudgingly? Has he the knowledge of the unseen so that he can see his own future? Has he not been informed of the contents of the scriptures of Moses and those of Abraham, who thoroughly and faithfully fulfilled the commandments of his Lord? The scripture says that no soul that bears the burden shall bear the burden of another soul, and that a human being will have to account for what he strives for, and that his striving shall necessarily be seen and evaluated. Then he will be recompensed fully and fairly. And that to your Lord is the eventual return. And that is when he alone who makes people laugh and weep. And that is he who alone causes death and brings to life. and that is he created himself two species, male and female, from a sperm drop when it is emitted, that it is he upon whom rests the raising of the dead again back to life. And it is that he who fulfills the need and endows the gifts of capital contentment and grants wealth, and that it is he who is the Lord of Sirius, a star worshipped by some polytheists, and that he has destroyed the ancient tribe of Ud and the tribe of Thamud, so that he spared not a single soul of them, and that he destroyed the people of Noah before them. They were extremely wicked and the most rebellious. And that is he who totally pulled down the suburb cities Sodom and Gomorrah and the people of Lut, so that they were completely covered with that which overwhelms them with punishments that befalls. O human beings, which of the bounties of your Lord will you then doubt and dispute? This prophet is the warner towards all the people of the worlds, from among them the series of warners to one particular people of the old. The hour of punishment that was promised to come has drawn nigh. None can avert this doom besides Allah Himself. Do you then wonder at the announcement and yet pay no heed to it? For on this hearing the mention of the hour of punishment, you laugh rather than weep, and you remain proudly heedless and haughty. You should better prostrate yourselves before Allah and worship Him. Salawat.
Please recite salawat for Brother Samir, his beautiful recitation for his encouragement. Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Surah Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirat. Siratal ladzina an'amta عليهم ولا الضالين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا بالقاسم محمد اللهم صل على وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. أما بعد, Allah says in Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnasi ta'muruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhawna 'anil munkar. Mu'mineen, Mu'minat, young Azadars, respected young Azadars, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are continuing our discussion that we started from the beginning, that there is a nation that Allah has created, which has been endowed with the responsibility to guide everyone else, and therefore that nation is chosen to be the best nation. Again, not because of ethnicity, not because of blood, not even because of religion. This is because those people do Amr bil Maruf, Nahi Anil Munkar. This is the exact ideology of Imam Hussein when he left Medina. He informed us about this, that this is Husseini ideology. We also know that the mechanism of protecting Islam, what we learned in our second majlis, was Azadari. And Azadari has protected Islam, shielded Islam in ways that it was impossible, it became impossible to change or, God forbid, destroy Islam. Third majlis, we learn that because we do Amr bil Maruf and Nahi Anil Munkar, because of that, we need education, because education is the means to support not only coaching, teaching, knowledge creation, but also to get the power and influence to do these two things, which is promote goodness and prohibit evil, forbid evil. So that just captures this essence of where we are going as a community. Then we learned that the first application of Amr bil Maruf, Nahi Anil Munkar is ourselves in our own nafs, and we must learn to operate within the boundaries which Allah has created for us. This is where we are today. Now, if you look at this four-step process of where we are today, it says one thing very clearly. Everything is built upon the base ideology of Amr bil Maruf, Nahi Anil Munkar. The whole setup is designed for that. And that is our ultimate responsibility. A responsibility like that requires very strong leadership. Leadership by everyone at individual level, at a community level, and again at a global level. So we have to acquire this knowledge of what leadership means in our context, not what management literature that is given to us, charismatic leadership, transformational leadership, this leadership, that leadership. No, none of that. We focus on what leadership means for us, for these people, for us who have been chosen as the best nation by Allah. Because leadership for us means something else. That will be the first thing we will cover today. Then we will get into leadership, some of the leadership issues that we're seeing now in community. We'll talk about that briefly, but it's important to bring that up. Why? Because again, it's a responsibility that we need to fulfill. And if we don't observe what's going on, then what we lack, which is a very, very important issue, a trait of leadership, is what's known as dushman shanasi in Urdu. In English, it's known as the ability to recognize your enemy. Because we were not created without an enemy. The first act of creation, right after that, it implies there is a shaitan. And we have been told about him, we have been informed about him, and we also know that humans are not created perfect. Allah's one creation, perhaps besides jinn, is humans are not created perfect. They have to achieve perfection. The path to achieve perfection is what Islam is. So from our imperfection, we start moving towards perfection. This is Allah's mechanism for us. Why this was necessary? Because we were given free will. No other object, animal was given free will. This intelligence part that Allah gave us, free will, now it requires that you have to make these decisions that take you eventually towards perfection. And that requires leadership. Salawat. The definition that I will offer to you for leadership is very, very simple. It is submission, total submission to Allah. Now, many of us were told that the word Islam means peace, right? This is what we were told. That's not what Islam means. Islam means submission. So, the most comprehensive and perfect submission to Allah is the ultimate leadership. Whoever submits most, the most comprehensive, and we know we have examples of that. Aima is an example of that. Aima, and that's why they are the leaders. So, leadership for us is submission to Allah. The better, the more comprehensive that submission is, the more of a leader you are. It's very, very simple. All we have to do is to remember that am I being a leader? The more submission I have to Allah, the better leader I am. That's something just very simple point. And then within Ayatul Kursi, the extended version, my teacher actually says that Ayatul Kursi is the main the one ayat that you read because it's written as a singular ayat al-kursi, not as a plural, but whatever your understanding is. The third part, which is Surah Baqarah's 257, is the ayat number in which Allah clarifies for us that Allah is the guardian of believers. He is the wali. Allah is the wali of believers. But Allah also explains that the other side also has leaders. So they're not without leaders. And Allah says that Allah says that about the guardianship of the other party, the forces of dark, that these non-believers, their awliya, the word plural, their awliya, their walis are who? Taghut. Taghut word is transgressors, people who operate outside the boundaries established by Allah. So you have Allah as your leader, as your wali, and the other people have Taghut, who are non-believers. Now, Alhamdulillah, then in another ayat, what's known as the ayat of wilayat that I'm sure all of you know, chapter 5, 55 ayat, in which Allah clarifies that who is wali? Allah is wali. Who is wali? Allah's prophet is wali. And what's the third condition of wilayat? That faithful who establishes prayer and then gives zakat in raku. Right? You know that. Imam Ali. Imam Ali alayhi salam. That is the leadership model that we operate under. So we accept that our leadership is, when we act as leaders, should be based on submission to Allah. And the three levels of leadership for us are Allah, who has the original authority that has been given to Prophet and that has been then given to Imam Ali. Salawat. Imam Ali's name is such that it brings smiles on the faces of those who love Imam Ali. Every time his name comes, just imagine that you are enjoying such a powerful gift of God. Just the fact that you know about Imam Ali. Just the fact that you know about Imam Ali is the most beautiful gift of Allah upon these people. Imam Ali, the person whose birth sanctified Kaaba. That person. Imam Ali, who opens his eyes and sees Prophet. Imam Ali, who as a child stands up when the entire Makkah is in shock. When the entire Makkah is uncertain, he stands up and says, I believe. Lately, that reminds me, lately there has been this debate about who was the first one who accepted Islam or converted to Islam, and a lot of other people are proposing names, this was the first one, this was the second one, this was the third one, whatever, all the way to... When I hear all this debate, what we should learn, and for all of you, for young people especially, your answer is very simple. Our Mawla Ali is not Our leader is not someone who converts or accepts Islam. It's your leaders who convert and accept Islam. Our Maula Ali is Islam, and Islam is Maula Ali. That's the answer you need to remember at all times. When people say, well, this was the first one, that was the first one. No, Maula Ali did not convert. It's not that he is Islam. This is what the ayat we just read. Allah is saying that I am wali, my Rasul is wali, Ali is wali. But Islam is incomplete. Islam is not Islam if Ali is not there. So we need to remember that. He had wisdom. He knew when to take out his sword. He knew when not to. He also, his life is really, if you think about it, it's peak of excellence. It's peak of excellence. And his words, what do we call it? Peak of eloquence. Nahjul Balagha, right? This is Maula Ali. I was thinking about, and this again becomes a little poetic, but I think that it's deserving. That if all oceans turn into ink and all stars turn into pens and Maula Ali's attributes are written on sky, it's still not enough. We will not be able to do justice with that. That is the gift of Allah that we have as a leader. Once we understand this, because this marifah is important, this marifat is important, now we have to understand the nature of love and the nature of marifat. Very important concept, marifat, again, learning, knowing someone. Love is one thing, marifat is another thing. So I give you a small story and then we will go into, imagine there's a person. Imagine there's an older person, a father, and he has 4 or 5 kids, and he's a very pious man, and he's at that age where he wants to teach his piety to his children. And he calls them, he says, today, I want to tell you about the principles of my life so you can also adopt. And his first son, older son, just raises his hands, Dad, I love you. Yes, I know you love me, but what I wanted, I love you too, Dad. I understand you love me, but Dad, here's a gift for you. And father is trying to communicate to them that learning part, but children are saying, I love you. There's nothing wrong in saying I love you, but the intention of father is for those children to understand those principles and those values that father is trying to teach them. So love needs to be balanced with marifat so that we can understand, absorb, adopt those values that Imam Ali is giving us. Unfortunately, when we talk about leadership, we cannot ignore our tendency, and I am not just talking about those who argued that, or who took the position that Imam Ali should not be the first caliph, the great injustice, the biggest injustice ever done in the history of human civilization, and Karbala was, again, after effect of that, which continued later on. But if you think about that, what a great opportunity, not just those people, but other people also. Other people who disappointed Imam Ali. These were the people who claimed love. So we are talking about leadership, very important, and this is where discussion goes into community leadership. Pay attention what I am about to tell you. Nahjul Balagha, which is book, a word based on words of Imam Ali, sermon number 24. Different versions some may have it as 25 or 26, but it's 24, the main primary English version that you see here. In that, Imam Ali talks about something that this community needs to understand. What was happening was that after the arbitration settlement with Muawiyah started taking over cities that actually fell under Imam Ali's dominion. So he started attacking them, and they started burning villages, killing people, even children. Just his forces, Mavia's forces, were going and doing that. As news of that came to Imam Ali when he found out about one of those cities, that's when he gives this khutbah. And now he's not talking about, again, pay attention, he's not talking about the other party. He's talking about those who profess love for him. Four things he mentions in that khutbah, and he does this comparison. He says, they are united even though they are on the wrong side. You are divided even though you are on the right side. First thing, remember that. Divided, united. So Imam Ali is giving you principles of how we need to run. If we don't run this way, all the opportunity that Allah has given us, very recent opportunities that we have gotten with free lands all the way from Mashhad to Karbala and elsewhere to Sham. This is, again, I keep saying these words, this is your time. This is really your time. My grandfather, even my father, when they went to these places, they would have gone to these places. These places would have been very different. They would have been scared. They would have been operating with, half the country under sin or something else. But the thing is, you don't have to worry about that. When you go there, you get the full experience. You know you're safe. You can do anything there. This is your place. That was not the case. So the first thing for a community, unity. Imam Ali says that they are united even though they're on the wrong side. And you are divided even though you are on the right side. The second thing, they are obedient to Mavia even though they're on the wrong side. And you're disobedient even though you're on the right side. So the first thing, remember these four words that I will tell you. The first word was unity. The second word is obedience. And please do, when you go home, check this khutbah number 24, sermon number 24. The third thing, he says, they trust their master. They trust their master. Imam Ali is saying now talking about Mavia's people. And you betray your master. This is what Imam Ali is saying now. Again, those people who profess love. And the fourth part, very important because it refers to today's situation. He says, they build their cities and you do mischief in your cities. Four words. Number one, unity. Number two, obedience. Number three, trust your imam. Number four, build your cities. These four things, that's the formula Imam Ali has given you. That's leadership. Now, what I can tell you from my experience, because I have done research on these things and I understand how technology works, billions of dollars are being invested or spent only to make sure that you don't succeed. Because your success is the biggest threat to everyone in the world, whoever means bad for humanity, whoever has bad intentions for humanity, whoever that may be. You are the biggest risk because you have introduced values. You have shown that this is what success is. And the world is surprised. And in those billions of dollars, there are only two agendas that's being spent on. The first agenda is if they can divert you, young people, towards sinful lifestyles, then Islam loses momentum, this Shia movement loses momentum, this rise that we're seeing now, that loses momentum. Because then you're on a different path. You're not important anymore. The second is dividing you. So you may stay in here, you may not necessarily go and live sinful lifestyles, but you may start fighting. This person can start fighting with him, he can start fighting with him. On what? On issues that are just so unimportant if you truly are a follower of Imam Ali. On what things do we fight? Oh, this one does Nara Haidari, so what? Or this one does, Labbaika Ya Mehdi, so what? Are these things to even quarrel about, to understand? Develop that perspective. Where we are, what times we are living through. Remember that time when ISIS was only 12 miles away from Karbala. Someone told me, I went there, I saw that place, they said they were right here. God forbid, if they would have gone and come into Iraq and into Karbala, Najaf, imagine the devastation, imagine what would have happened to our hearts, imagine what would have happened to our honor. Today, when we go there, we stay in these five-star hotels and we have great food and we talk about, oh, this one had, 16 different types of desserts. The first thing that you need to think about is, thank you, those people. Thank you, Ayatollah Sistani. Thank you, other people, everyone, people from different countries who came, who gave their lives to protect Karbala. Today, we can go there, feel safe, stay in those hotels, enjoy those desserts, do our walks because of the sacrifice that was made. Never ever walk into that place with thinking that I'm an American, I'm from UK, I'm from Canada. No, always walk in with your heads bowed. Respect for those people who fought, and today, alhamdulillah, Karbala and Najaf and all of these areas are safe. Salawat. And that establishes responsibility for leaders of this community. Bring people together, and my message is again to all leaders, bring people together, respect, and if you don't have to, if you don't believe in this, that in Maraja, in Taqleed, that's fine. You don't have to go out of your way to disrespect Maraja. 90% people believe in them. Why? And those who believe in them don't have to, they shouldn't start forwarding emails and things like that. Anything, just ask yourself the first question the four things that I told you. That is this helping the unity of Shias or not? Should I forward this email or this message that I've gotten? Because it has become so easy these days to just, start these movements. Number two, would this be considered as obedience? Am I violating that agreement, that commitment that I have with Imam? Dua Ahad is that commitment. And so if, I insist that you read that with translation. Number three, do I not trust my Imam? I don't have to raise these issues. I don't have to fight these battles. I trust my Imam. He promised he will take care of it. Look what he has done, what he has given us in last 50 years. Whoever, we know who the leadership is, what changed. And that's fine. Or my brothers and sisters who, if they don't believe in Maraja, maybe we can have some discussions and maybe I will learn something from them respectfully. And number four, take out corruption, build your cities. These four principles. Sermon number 24, pay attention to this. And again, last message, over and over again, Shia leaders all over the world. From this center to another center to another center, then another center. What's common is among us, everyone, no matter which Shia you talk to, whoever, there are two or three things that would always happen. We will all love Imam Ali, no matter what. Number two, we all feel the presence and we know that we're under the leadership of our Imam. And number three, we all shed tears for Imam Hussein. When 10th of Muharram comes, no matter, what personal characters of Shias are, whoever they are, whichever ideology they comes from, they come to these centers. And they do matam, they do whatever it is. Let's learn to respect each other, give space, create this safe space for each other so that this whole conflict that has come up goes down because it gets exploited by our enemies. And I just wanted to make sure that I talk about this again, and I hope that this was helpful. Was this helpful? Okay. Salawat, please. So now, my messaging is for younger people. This is about leadership that you need to seek in yourself. Now, you would notice, sometimes you don't think about this, But when you are living in a secular country, something really weird happens. Something that should, in a way, you should find disgusting. When you attain a certain age, which is known as adulthood here, or become an adult, this world says that I am now giving you the license to engage or license to engage in all sinful activities. You know, you become, oh, you couldn't go to a bar when you were underage, but now you can. You can't engage in other bad activities, but now you can. You can't watch a certain movie, you're, underage, but now you can. This is what this world tells you. Alhamdulillah, Islam tells you the other way. Islam says, now you have come of age, and yes, you may have forgotten your prayers or missed out some fasts or other things, and you may have, engaged in some minor sins. Yes, but because you were not of age, you're forgiven. But now you're responsible. Now you're responsible. Responsibility falls on you. See the difference? One culture is saying, now go, you're free to commit sins. Allah's ideology is saying, no, now you have attained age, become responsible. And all these things that we hear about, that, teenage anger against parents, against the world, and all that, this is all fictional. This is all what Hollywood wants you to believe. They show you these things. But in a normal situation, I've seen even kids who were born, brought up in America, who are not Muslim. They respect their parents a lot. They don't fall into this. These are the things. This is what agnotology is all about. Making you dumb. Making you, this is what they say, okay, you know what? This will be, turn these kids into rebel kids. Why? Because that's what sells. That's how Hollywood sells. Because rebel kids, this rebel thing sells. But you should be smart enough, because you're backed by Imam Zamana. You're backed by this most powerful ideology in the world. Allah has chosen you, so you should be smart enough. No, I'm not going to fall for that. I'm smarter than this. And then, even to parents, moms and dads, we have to create this safe space for children so that they can discuss these things, important things, what's on their mind. And to young people, I even encourage you that if mom and dad or others, they are, not fully practicing how they're supposed to practice, and you are, because once you attain age, you should let them know, respectfully, politely, but things like, mom, dad, no, I don't think it's appropriate for me or for you, for that matter, to take a vacation at a public beach. It's not appropriate. I don't want to go. Maybe, why don't we go to Medina? I have not been to Medina. Take me to Medina. Or maybe we go to a national park. You won't see bad things. Yeah, you should be able to do that. Provide guidance to parents. If parents say, oh, we're going to watch some Indian concert or something, hopefully that doesn't happen. But you're the one. Become responsible, because Allah has, at that point, Allah has given you authority. This authority has been given to you by Allah. No, dad, mom, we can't go there. No, that's, because I cannot violate what Allah has asked me to do. Create that respectfully, like I said, politely, respectfully. Create that awareness, because it becomes a two-way street. And that's where the boundary comes in. That's where the safe space comes in which we start operating as families. That's the important part. Young people, this is your responsibility. In terms of, some other examples would be, for example, we have this practice that has started in our community about dances at weddings. Even if other people want, you should say, no, I don't want my wedding. You know why I don't want? Baby Zainab wouldn't want me to do this. Isn't that a reason which is good enough? Seriously, if Bibi Sayyada wouldn't want me to do it, why should we do it? Say no. These are the things, these are the values, this is practical Karbala. Applying Karbala Every lesson from Karbala, every moment from Karbala is a lesson, separate lesson. All of them pointing to one core thing. Amar bil Maruf, Nahi anil Munkar. And that's why you have to stand up. And there's several examples that come up in life in your life on a daily basis. It's okay to create parents and children and families to create that safe space in which you can both guide each other. And the judge is Allah on that. Now, I even suggest that put a sheet on paper, a writing sheet, sheet of paper on refrigerator, under a magnet that people have usually notes, or if you have electronic, whatever, tablet or what, and then just draw a line in which on one side just write. Anyone can write in the family. Come and write. What things are we doing that Bibi Sayyida and Imam Ali will not approve in our lives? Just write that. Note, whoever comes in, takes and just brainstorms, maybe 1, 2, 3. And whenever you think about it, on the other side, right side, right, things that we can do that we're not doing, if we do them, they will be pleased. See this system, two-way system established now. Whoever comes in, we write grocery lists, we write other things, other reminders, birthdays, this, that. Why not this list? The reason I'm telling you these things are because these are brain hacks, easy brain hacks. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun was one of them. Anytime you see anything bad, because these are easy things to do. And in our busy lives, they help us remember, develop that memory, the cognitive memory and it becomes every time we start doing that, we will remember that we are on the right track. Salawat. The reason I said that it's important to develop that recognition for Karbala, that when it comes to leadership, I don't think I have ever seen a better example of leadership than Bibi Zainab. It is, ever since, even from my childhood, when the Masayib of Anu Muhammad, Hazrat Anu Muhammad, were read, and I was little, it somehow became unbearable for me. Why? I just didn't understand up until now. I'm telling you this, that it was the hardest of all the Masayib that I read. The one that I find hardest is Hazrat Anu Muhammad. And the reason for that is that, and now I realize what it is, that for every other death, especially for those children or adults even whose mothers were there, there's always a corresponding loud crying that went on by those mothers. We know that, right? So when we think about any mother, even we find out that after Karbala happened and Baneen found out about this, about her sons, she would go to Jannat al-Baqi every day, draw 4 graves, markings, and then cry for her sons and say, "Don't call me Baneen now, my sons. I no longer have my sons." But there is one Bibi, and this is the Masayib of Anu Muhammad, where we see nothing but restraint. Why? Bibi Zainab has this much bigger responsibility at that point. That's leadership. When I thought about that, when I think about that, the responsibility, the priorities that she has, who does she have? Who's not there that she has to take care of? There are 3 imams there. There are 3 imams there. There are children who are depending on her. She's the one who has to go and talk to the ladies, to give strength to them, to give courage to them. She is the one who is, she's the one who has to see her brother getting killed. She is the one who has to go. And they say, traditions say that when Hazrat Ali Akbar was martyred, she went there with Imam Hussein. She's the one who goes there. This baby is crying for everyone. She's giving courage to everyone. But this baby, when her own sons come, when their bodies are brought back, people are saying, where is Zainab? Everyone is crying because she has this responsibility of leadership, restraint. Zainab has to stay strong because if Zainab is not strong, this community will not be here today. You will not be here today if she was not strong in those days. That is, remember Azadari, we owe it to her. This Husseini movement, we owe it to her. She has to keep herself strong. She has to make sure that her priorities are straight. And that's why we see the night before, when she's talking to Anu Muhammad, before Ashura, she's telling them, on Muhammad, remember whose grandchildren you are. Remember. And from both sides, remember whose grandchildren you are. Be courageous tomorrow. And I know you will be courageous. And if you get to Farad, don't drink water. Remember that Ali Asghar is still thirsty. Sakina is still thirsty. Bibi Zainab is training her children for what was coming. Next day, morning happens. Now, bodies start coming back. And she goes and to Imam Hussein and tries to start the conversation, but it's not going anywhere. Then she goes to Hazrat Abbas and he says, please help me. Tell Imam Hussein that my children have to go. Imam Hussein gives permission, and Hazrat Abbas mounts one of the child, and Imam Hussein mounts the other child on the other horse. Both brothers look at each other, and they both say, I will attack from this side, you will attack from that side, we will go, and we will kill Ibn Sa'd. And they fight to the point that Ibn Sa'd now is threatened. And in Karbala, the fight was not as you would consider, as you see as a fair fight. It was not as 1 versus 1 or 1 versus 2. It was a child and then 30, 40, 50 more of these Zalimeen, like wolves attacking from every side. And then one child falls down. And then the other child falls down. And then Imam Hussein, and one of them passed away right away. The other child says, Uncle, help! Imam Hussein goes to the child and says, you have fulfilled your responsibility. You have fulfilled more than what you were assigned to do. And the child says, can you tell our mother that we send salam? Now Imam Hussein picks both bodies of these children in one arm, one boy in the other arm, the second boy. And then he walks back to the tent. He walks back to the tent. Hazrat Abbas comes in and says, Mawla, do you need help? Imam Hussein says, no. Goes in, and then as he lays down the bodies, now everyone is looking for Zainab. Where is Hazrat Zainab? Where is Hazrat Zainab? And other ladies are there. And then Hazrat Zainab comes in inside the tent. Now imagine the restraint. She puts one hand on one body, other hand on the other body, and says that that I have sacrificed these children for Hussein. Sacrifice these children for Hussein. That's her strength. Now, Zainab would go and give khutbahs in Kufa the following day, and their children's heads would be held on spears. Zainab will see them, but her strength stays because she knows what her leadership responsibility is. And no matter what these people did, no matter where they took them, Ahle Bayt and Hazrat Zainab, she kept that strength, that confidence. And then eventually, as prisoners were released and these hostilities came to an end, as Hazrat Zainab went back to Medina, walks into her house, and that's when she says, "On Muhammad! On Muhammad!" That's when she cries for them. Lanatun Zalimeen. Matame Hussein.
Oh Habiba, I've been deserted. Will you not come to me? Oh Habiba, I've been deserted. Will you not come to me? Oh Habiba, I've been deserted. Will you not come to me? Oh Habiba, you've been deserted. Will you not come to me? Oh Habiba, you've been deserted. Will you not? Oh Habiba, you've been deserted. Will you not come to me? Oh Habiba. Thousands of letters came from Kufa, calling me to them, calling me to them. Now it's me calling for a brother, now it's me calling for a brother. There's no one to be found. Oh Habiba, I've been deserted. Will you not come to me? Oh Habiba, I have come far from Medina and I have nowhere to go. Who else is there to call? In these last moments from my mother, in these last moments from my mother, will you fight for me? Oh Habiba, I've been deserted. Will you not come to me? Oh Habiba. Sakina's crying, she's in terror. She sees what's ahead. Her loved ones are dead. She's still looking into the distance. She's still looking into the distance. Perhaps someone will come. There is no time, we are so few, and they are so many, countless enemies. Zainab then says, why do you worry? Zainab then says, why do you worry? Your faqih's on his way. Oh Habib, I've been deserted, will you not come to me? Oh Habib, I've been deserted. When you set out leaving your home, make sure of one thing: don't bring your women, for my honor cannot bear to see, for my honor cannot bear to see her unveiled in the streets. Oh Habib, I've been deserted, will you not come to me? Oh Habib, your Hussein has for you this question: what do you think of death? Do you think it's the end? Death by my side, this isn't dying. Death by my side, this isn't dying. This is where you begin. Oh Habib, I've been deserted, will you not come to me? السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا خاتم الأنبياء، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء، يا سيدتي نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت، وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك يا أبو الفضل العباس، السلام عليك يا زينب يا بنت أمير المؤمنين يا أم المصيبة، السلام عليك يا زين العابدين يا علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، يا خليفة الرحمن، يا شريك القرآن، يا إمام الإنس والجان. الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان وشر الشيطان. أين الطالب بذم المغسول بكربلاء؟ عجل الله تعالى فرجك، وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك، واجعلنا من خير أعوانك وأنصارك والمستشهدين بين يديك، ورحمة الله وبركاته.